And now let's delve into the details now. The yet-to-be-completed Dome Kwabenya Bridge is greatly inconveniencing drivers of both commercial and private vehicles in the area. Residents in the community have described the bridge as a death trap, claiming over 3 accidents have occurred at the site this year alone. For some commercial drivers, however, the deplorable state of the bridge is a great disincentive to their business.
The construction of the Dome Kwabenya Road Bridge project had to be constructed to provide ease of access onto the main Dome Kwabenya Road. Construction works on the road project started 4 months ago and is expected to be completed by the end of this year. An integral part of the Dome Kwabenya Road project is this bridge that would serve as a major linkage between the two towns. But construction works on the bridge, according to residents, have stalled for some time now. Residents claim the bridge collapsed some time back and doubt the quality of work done by the contractor.
You know, the road, the level of the road has actually shifted, and it was just going down, so it wasn't easy for vehicles to pass through. So they diverted it that same day. They called the authorities, they came around and they diverted the road to through the residents to Dome. But few months later it was done. Let's say about 2 months now, the road was, they level it. But actually they just put the sand back to level the concrete that they put down there, but nothing. The surface, they haven't done anything, no concrete, no nothing. So we were still expecting that they will come and finish the whole thing up.
At the site of the project, the contractor had used his red tape to cordon off a portion of the bridge to prevent vehicle users from accessing it. There were also gaping holes at several portions of the bridge. When asked why the bridge has been left in its current state, the contractor, Benjamin Otu, noted that residents have been a major hindrance to the speedy completion of the project.
June or July, this particular bridge caved in, and then the government awarded it to us as an emergency. We did our best to do this job. Of course, this is a bridge, and it is an alternative to the Medina Road, so a lot of people have been passing here, so you have to take your time and do a very good job. Number one, when you do a bridge of this nature, it should cure, so that the concrete will be very, very solid, irrespective of a vehicle that is passing on. It should be able to stand and be able to stand the test of time. That is what we believe, that we want to do roads that will stay for a longer period. Instead of 21 days, we allowed it to cure for 35 working days, so that we will have the strength. So upon further deliberations with the urban roads, they agreed that we should do 10 meters side by side to it. Of course, we have purchased our materials and everything. We haven't paid for it. We are waiting for their directions. Of course, within last week, they gave us the directions that this is what they want us to do. And you can see that is exactly what we are doing.
But the residents disagree.
The project here is causing a lot of things for us, you know. So many cars has been entering the car, causing people are even last week when I was here, I saw some car, big truck, pickup. He entered this thing and he cannot be able to survive. A lot of men came here to, you know, help him to get out from the gutter. So I think the contractor, we need to, you know, I don't know who gave him the job, but I'm pointing at him that he should do something about it before the people in the area or the community got, you know, dead or something like that.
But of major concern to residents was a reduction in brisk business activity in the community following the collapse of the bridge last year.
Oh, and my cars need to say, even trot for no, funny say now, Obakana can't back what says you. I say, wow, but no train now, hopefully, now, baby, answer now when you're fine about the scene. And my parents say, if I say a cars be brave. When I'm here in the crowns, and say, who is so? Pila no here, Iron Ross, the yard in this. When it's time for me, I can see because when any kid is thrown, I'm here and kids baby. I had a main road, a cock of 40 anyway, you
you can follow the bedroom. I say, I'm not great and I'm the edge man. Buddhas and Abbey Quanim can't come back. So I sound so higher my Yeska.
Now, the management of the Metro Mass Transit Company has begun investigations into how buses have disappeared from the company following a petition by workers. Managing Director Noble Appiah told Joy News 12 buses belonging to the company cannot be traced. 6 of the vehicles from the Tamale Yard, 4 from Kumasi and 2 from Wa have reportedly gone missing. Ishra FM's Ohime Teria, who broke the story about the missing vehicles, said 3 of the buses registered with fleet numbers 2050, 2072 and 2085 were spotted at private fitting shops on Saturday. The 2085 vehicle was seen in MMT colors at the workshop in Edumai Junction on the Kumasi Offensive Road. The next day, however, the color of the vehicle had changed to silver, with a welder known only as Richie busily working on the vehicle. The buses were supposedly declared as unserviceable and auctioned, but due processes were not followed. Instead of cutting them as scrap on the premises of the company, 12 of them were towed away at night on Saturday and Sunday and are being repaired for use by private individuals, a situation which has angered workers of the company. Per MMT policy, no sold bus leaves the company premises as a whole or in full. The workers of the Tamale Yard, led by its union leader Abdul Mumin Mohammed, are demanding an explanation from the management about the whereabouts of 6 of the vehicles. For effective teaching and learning to take place, there has to be a sound environment for that to happen. Now, that sound environment is absent for pupils of Womenu DA schools, a school in the Adaklu constituency of the Volta region. Take a watch.
This is the Adaklu Womenu DA school. The school serves as the only public school for the town and other surrounding communities. Some pupils are writing their terminal exams here due to the poor state of most classrooms. Most of these pupils are children of farmers. Established more than 50 years ago, the school has not witnessed any renovation.
Our building is very dilapidated, and there are not enough, what do we call it, benches or desks for these children to sit on. So when we are writing exams, we do bring them out so that they can share the little ones that they have, so that we can have at least an atmosphere that will make them feel comfortable to write rather than using the rooms.
As a result, cracks have developed on portions of the building. Whenever it rains, teaching and learning comes to a sudden end. The pupils have to either go home or have to deal with avoiding getting wet.
We have a lot of problems which make it difficult for us to teach and for the kids to learn as well. I may say the structures, as you can see, are very bad, most especially when it is raining. We have to vacate the structures and then run elsewhere to find shelter.
The situation, according to teachers of the school, is very worrying. Aside the poor state of the school building, which is the school's main problem, there are no windows and doors. There is also no water to drink. Although the pupils are taught ICT, they have never set eyes on a mouse, let alone a monitor and system unit. So during exams, teachers have to explain the questions in the local language, Ewe, so pupils can understand.
System unit headmaster office Christmas time,
This wooden structure served as the GHS3 class, but it had to be abandoned. The pupils were afraid the structure could collapse.
Teaching and learning depends mostly on the atmosphere. When the atmosphere is not conducive, it becomes difficult for a pupil to be able to absorb whatever the teacher will teach him or her. That assertion that teachers are not performing generally is misplaced, because the deprived place should not be compared to with the places like Accra and other big towns.
From afar, this primary block looks very beautiful, but a closer look will reveal it lacks a ceiling. Authorities say the ceiling will prevent the classrooms from getting hot when the sun is shining. This room serves as the library of the school, with little or no books for pupils to read in their leisure times.
Textbooks, we have a few. I may say the little that the government provides are not enough for us to use, and mostly the teachers use their own money to buy some of the textbooks.
The school has no proper place of convenience. Therefore, pupils have to attend to nature's call in the bush or make do with this place.
When you look at some of your colleagues whom you have completed school with, where they find themselves, maybe you attended SS with, and some of you found yourself in the university, some in the polytechnics, some in the teaching, teacher training college, and then you come out as a teacher and teaching, and then you see that you are becoming frustrated because you see your colleagues climbing up in the social ladder. They are making it good, living good, and you, all that you do is from home you come to stay under a tree teaching a child, and you go home, you feel bad. You feel bad. So I may say I have regretted becoming a teacher.
Moving on with some other stories now, the founder for Center for Media Analysis, Dr. Mesan Malgbe, is urging media practitioners to concentrate more on developmental stories that will attract stakeholders and investors to areas that are in dire need of support. He stressed the practice of event-oriented journalism, which is not helping promote critical social issues in the country.
According to him, the neglect on the part of today's media on critical social and communal issues have been blamed on the slow response and lack of development in some sectors and parts of the country. He stressed there are critical issues in some communities that are in urgent need of intervention, but due to the lack of exposure, the needed attention is not given.
The media has quite a work to do. And I think one of the challenges facing us as media practitioners in this country is the fact that we have failed to some extent to move away from metropolitan journalism to communal journalism. We haven't been able to draw the line between metropolitan journalism and communal journalism. When is my reportage supposed to be communal oriented, and when is my reportage supposed to be metropolitan oriented? Yeah, it's affecting development in the sense that the media has now turned itself to be what I will also call event-oriented journalism instead of issue in-depth analysis journalism.
He urged the media to be more responsive to community-based stories. Executive Director for the Media Foundation for West Africa also urged media owners to build the capacity of journalists by organizing more training programs to keep them abreast with the current trends.
When we're talking about professionalism, it is not just about the individual journalist. It is also about the media organizations. It is about the policy framework in a country. It's about the regulation of the media in a country, frequency allocation, and so on and so forth. Asking that the media must be professional, it comes in different ways. Journalists must have their capacity built. Media organizations, must remunerate their journalists well. Policies and programs within media organizations must be in line with how a professional media organization is supposed to be set up. But as I said, a lot more also depend on the individual journalist, because you must commit yourself to saying, look, this is the profession I've chosen. I want to learn more about it. I want to be a much more professional.
They were both speaking at the Economy of Ghana Network workshop for journalists on the theme, Ghanaian media coverage of public health emergencies. The workshop focuses on raising awareness and education on media response to emergency crisis.
You're still watching the Primetime Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV and also on ABN TV across Europe. We will take a breather. When we return, as usual, We have some more. Please stay. You're welcome back and many thanks for staying. Now, President John Mahama is forecasting the start of sub-regional flight from Kumasi, whilst assuring aviation industry players that government will address all challenges they face doing business in the country. He was speaking at the commissioning of facilities to enable night operations at the Kumasi airport. Aviation industry players have for some time now decried the high cost of operations, as a result of which some of them have halted operations in the country. Commissioning the Kumasi Aeronautical Ground Lighting Project, President Mahama indicated that, among others, an increase in air passenger figures from 70,000 in 2008 to a current 2.5 million is evidence of bright prospect for the Ghanaian aviation industry.
Passenger numbers are multiplying manifold, and the number of scheduled flights, airports used to do about 5,000 passengers a month. Today, Kumasi Airport is doing about 40,000 passengers a month. The work we have done would lead to the creation of new jobs, and it will generate more revenue for the Ghana Airport Company. The critical role that transportation, and for that matter, the aviation subsector, plays in the economic growth and transformation of our country.
He highlighted job creation, reduced airfares and increased revenue for the Ghana Airport Authority among key national benefits that the rehabilitation of the Kumasi and other airports across the country promises.
Indeed, aviation provides a vibrant transportation network across the globe, and this is critical for global business. The Tamale Airport is ongoing with the provision of a new runway. Now, as we speak, work is almost completed in the whole of West Africa. Many airports are going to be built or upgraded in the following towns: in Ho, in Cape Coast, in Wa, in continuing commitments to the creation of an enabling environment for the air travel industry to grow and to promote the government's transformational agenda.
President Mahama is hopeful domestic flight operators would delve much into the sub-regional market after the second phase of the Kumasi Airport expansion project is completed. Now away from Parliament, the scheduled commissioning of the gas infrastructure project by the Ghana National Gas Company has been disrupted as a result of the sporadic flow of gas upstream. The Ghana National Gas Company cited two key concerns: absence of enough functioning generating units at the VRA enclave in Abuadze and compressor tripping on the offshore facility FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, caused by unplanned outages. Board Chairman Professor Kwesi Boche, in a statement issued on Wednesday, December 17, however, says discussions are ongoing with VRA and Tullow Oil respectively to address.
My name is Matilda Nyakwa Kweku. Good evening, and it's time for business. Government has begun a series of stakeholder meetings aimed at informing a decision on the best way to make the Electricity Company of Ghana more economically viable. Now, government is seeking to embark on a private sector-led approach with a view of transforming the Electricity Company of Ghana in order to improve the country's power situation. In a stakeholder workshop held in Accra Wednesday, government said it was currently considering two options of private sector participation as it begins the process of reshaping the country's primary power distributor.
Having successfully completed the Millennium Compact 1, the government of Ghana managed to secure an additional $498 million for the Compact 2, with the primary aim of improving the country's power sector. For the country to effectively do this, however, certain challenges, including distribution losses, as well as the inability of the Electricity Company of Ghana to properly account for distributed power, need to be purged. Government is therefore considering two private-public partnership options that will see the ECG run more efficiently. First is on the concession option.
After looking at all the options and what we can do, we are left with only two options that satisfy all these conditions that we've set ourselves. And now we have partial privatization and concession. In the case of a concession, I'll repeat what he said. government will continue to be a 100% owner of all the assets of ECG. However, it sees the financing, it sees the operating, and it sees the management of the entity to the private sector party for a period of time, and that will be in the agreement that we do with the private sector party.
Government is also considering the option of partial privatization, which many fear, when approved, is likely to bring about a significant number of job cuts.
In a partial privatization, this time the asset remains in the hands of government, but the company that runs the business may be sold partially to a private entity. The rationale is very simple, so that they take over control of the entity, which is ECG in this case. When that has happened, the concession government has made it true that we interfere too much. Besides interfering, we also don't pay our bills. But the time has come for everybody to pay their bills. The time has come for us to be responsible for the energy we consume.
Government says it's hopeful the partnership arrangement, when successfully completed, will attract many private power generators onto the market.
If you have 10 times the generation we have now, if we have it, it's a clause. How is ECG going to distribute that? It's a problem. It means you have unnecessary losses because the power is coming, we are either not using it or we can't distribute. But the main point is that who is coming to put 10 times what we need here when he knows that after producing nobody will buy or distribution will be a problem. So the strategy is very simple. Make sure that distribution is good. Turn it around. Then you see automatically everybody will come.
The Energy Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Buah has directed the National Petroleum Authority to work out a flexible payment structure for oil marketing companies in the payment of their license and fees. Now, this was the outcome of the minister's meeting with the companies and the NPA boss, Moses Asaga, earlier today. The meeting was to avert a planned strike by the companies today due to their concerns with how the NPA was enforcing the payment of license and fees.
Marketing companies who have all the stations around the country have some concerns about fees, licensing fees. This is a matter that actually is before the court, but there were some disagreements on the measures that the NPA was taking, and I think that because of that they have threatened a strike. I called for a meeting, and I'm happy to inform you that we have resolved the issues, and they have agreed to continue working. So this is the assurance to the people of Ghana that there wouldn't be the assurance we have gotten that there will be enough products in the market and that the OMCs will be selling products to the people of Ghana during this holiday season.
He also announced that a committee has been established to iron out all the concerns by oil marketing companies.
We've agreed that immediate issues are resolved. I have set up a team made up of the ministry and NPA and the oil marketing company. We are going to broadly look at all their issues and resolve them. And I think that they also agree that they will have to engage us more instead of resorting to some other measures. And I think that we had a very good understanding about the way forward. But we believe that, and they agree completely, the government is committed to working with them to strengthen their business. And they clearly understand that the only way we can do that is for them to engage us and for us to work together, and that is what we are going to do, to make sure that the oil marketing companies' concerns are resolved so that we can have a very good, strong market and that product to be available for the people of Ghana.
And still on fuel, the bulk oil distributors say government's decision to settle their debts using their over-recoveries from the fall in crude oil prices on the world market is in the ultimate interest of the economy. Consumers have expressed concerns about the failure of the National Petroleum Authority to reduce fuel prices in line with the world market trends. But the chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senyo Hosi, explains the NPA's decision is not out of place.
a personal preference that would rather look at price liberalization, because I think that would rather have a better impact on product supply and pricing positively. Probably minimize the major burden government has in sourcing special effects and probably inhibiting much creativity on the trading side of BDCs or OMCs, because there's less competition out there. Everything is defined still by the MPA. So just taking out pricing is one thing, taking off subsidy is one thing, but trying to grow the industry and taking off less pressure on government would require us to price liberalize. Government has GOIL, it has Go Energy, and it can use them as major market drivers to define how the market runs. It's something government should favorably consider, and I think there are all kinds of models to help get that benefits.
Well, that's all for business. George Adu Jr. is coming with sports.
Director General of the National Sports Authority, Joe Kpenge, says the decision to go into public-private partnership and facilities of the NSA is to give them a facelift and not to sell them off. At a media briefing in Accra, Mr. Kpenge said the move is also to enhance revenue generation capacity of the National Sports Authority.
This will compel associations to plan. At the beginning of every year, you should give us a plan that these are the things you are going to do. So these are the resources you are going to need, including accommodation. Then we plan. Then we know that in the first 2 weeks of May is reserved for hockey camping, or in the whole of February we are going to be training athletes. So we are going to use that place. So those are blocked. Those days are blocked. That is how we are going to ensure that this whole partnership is not going to affect sport development. We are not handing over to the private sector to do whatever they like with the facilities. We are still partners. Our interest will be very vigorously protected within any agreement that we make. So there shouldn't be any fear at all. We are not handing over government assets to a private person to do whatever he likes with it. So rest assured.
And there's some respite for Coach Kwesi Appiah now, ex-Black Stars coach, because Sudanese side Al Hatoum have contracted him as their new manager. Appiah failed to guide the Black Stars past the group stage of the just ended World Cup in Brazil, but he was unveiled this afternoon in the Sudanese capital. Former Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah has been officially unveiled as the new head coach of Sudanese club Hatoum Watan. Appiah has signed a deal with the ambitious club that will be participating in the Confederations Cup from next season. Appiah will work with longtime pal and former Midyamar SC coach Prince Owusu as assistant as he begins his first senior coaching role in club football. With powerhouses Al Merrek and Al Hilal already established as the dominant forces in the league, Appiah will face a big task to guide his new team to break the duopoly that has been enjoyed by the two clubs over the years. That's your sports tonight. I'm George Adu Jr. Gifty joins us with some more. Have a good night.
Well, that's how we wrap up for tonight. But before we go, a look again at our top stories. Media practitioners have been charged to concentrate more on developmental stories that will attract stakeholders and investors into the country. Also tonight, we put the spotlight on a 26-year-old prisoner who does not feel discouraged but still determined to sharpen his skills as an artist and a painter. President John Mahama has assured the aviation industry that government is committed to addressing challenges that they face doing business in the country. My name is Gifty Ando-Appiah. Remember, there's more news at myjoyonline.com and multitvworld.com. You can also follow me at JNewsGifty, and you can also follow my page on Facebook. Up next is PM Express with Nana and Sakwa. Please stay.